Welcome to the From Imposter to Empowered podcast. I'm your host, Jill Perrick, mindset coach and imposter syndrome expert, and I'm here to tell you that imposter syndrome isn't a life sentence. It's just a dysfunctional way of thinking. If you feel like your ideas are unoriginal, that your message isn't necessary or important, or like you're a complete and total fraud, then you've come to the right place. Time to kick your inner imposter to the curb and create life-changing results for you and your clients. Let's get started. Hey everybody, welcome back to the From Imposter to Empowered podcast. I'm your host, Jill Perrick, business mindset coach and imposter syndrome expert. So it's the beginning of June, which means that we just closed the doors on the Worthy Woman Method for the very first enrollment ever. Amazing, and I'm so excited to serve these women inside of this container. This is a lifetime access group coaching container for women entrepreneurs to create inner freedom, money freedom, and time freedom in their businesses. I help you create consistent income with your business and to grow it from a business identity standpoint. So to really focus on the business mindset part of things, because as you scale, it really is about your mind and staying consistent and working through the limiting beliefs that are coming up for you in order to really execute an efficient online business. And if you want to join the waitlist for the next enrollment in the fall, you can go to the link in my show notes and check that out. So it has been 2 weeks as I'm recording this since I have left my full-time job. My last day was officially May 7th, I want to say, and it has been so crazy. I can't believe that I am now a full-time coach. It's kind of surreal considering I've been talking about it for so long and now it's here. And just to give you like a really quick lowdown on how it even came to be, honestly, I don't even know. That's how I know it was just so like spirit-led and really something that was my inner truth coming out, because let me tell you, if you would have asked me that like April 1st, I would have been like, fuck no. But halfway through April, I just kept getting these intuitive nudges in terms of you need to leave now, like you need to do this now. And for those of you who don't know, Dustin and I have been wanting to buy a house, and that has been a primary reason as to why I've stayed at my full-time job. I used to work for a government organization as a civilian for the police that are in my hometown. It's the Ontario Provincial Police, and the headquarters is actually here in Aurelia, so that's where I worked out of. And it was a really cool job. It was a criminal linkage analysis unit job, and I worked in several other units in the organization since I started there in 2015, and it really was the angel investor for my business. If I didn't work full-time, I wouldn't have been able to build my business the way that I have been. It really helped me invest in coaches. It helped support me throughout all of that, so I am so grateful to have that job. And I know that some people are really angry at their full-time job, and I just want you to know that anger is not helping any. It's actually going to make it harder for you to run your business. So if you can find some gratitude each day for your full-time job, just know that it's going to happen for you. So anyways, so that was the main reason as to why I was staying whenever somebody would ask me that, because I've had really good success in my business. I've had really consistent income months for the past year and a half. Hardly has ever, like, it's fluctuated, but like never lower than, I want to say like 6K. So that has been really exciting. And my full-time job would supply me about 3K a month, like $3,300 a month. So not anywhere close to what I was making in my business. So the consistency in income was really something that prompted me to be like, okay, like this could definitely be a reality. And the fact that the housing market here where we live is really ridiculous, and I didn't want to live in a shithole for like $700,000. And so that meant that our house hunt was going to be pushed a little bit later. And staying in my full-time job, it was because it would be easier to get a mortgage. But I looked at it this way in terms of, if I can spend more time making way more money, then we'll be easily able to buy a house. So anyways, it just got to a point where I was getting up every day and about to work for 9 hours a day at my full-time job, in addition to being on stories and coaching and doing the whole thing. And I just started to have enough. Like, I was like, I don't know if I can go on like this anymore. The logistics of the situation were there. I don't have a big chunk of savings or anything like that, but I just knew. Like, I had a lot of trust and certainty in myself, and that has been because I've built that over the past year and a half. I've really worked on, like, no matter what my situation is with money, if I continue to perpetuate the scarcity, if I continue to perpetuate the fact that there was never enough, that's of course how I was going to feel. And I really needed to practice what I preach to my clients, because it's never about the next accomplishment, certification, amount of money, goal achieved, whatever. It's literally about how you feel. And if you want to feel something, you have to learn how to cultivate that now, even without the physical proof. So I took my own advice and I did a lot of work on my money mindset, and I felt very secure with money. I feel very secure with the income coming in, and I know that I can create it easily. So that certainty was really helpful. But let me tell you, the week that I decided, I bawled my eyes out, like, every single day. Bawled my eyes out. I was like, oh my God, I was so afraid of what my dad was going to think and everything. But, like, I knew I was going to do it. It was just now, okay, now I have to deal with the reality of the situation of telling my work and telling my parents and doing the whole thing. And it's funny because with my dad, it was maybe 10 minutes of, like, discomfort in terms of me telling him and him being like, oh, are you sure you want to do that? But the decision was already made at that point, and he just needed to accept it. And he did. And he was actually very supportive. And I realized, I was like, wow, I'm so glad that I didn't avoid doing this just simply because of what my parents would say or what work would say, who were also super supportive. Like, I work with a lot of older people. Am I allowed to say that? An older generation, if you will, who have no idea what the fuck I'm doing online, but they were also supportive, and a lot of them said, I wish I had the guts to leave a full-time job when I was young like you, and, like, this is really great, we're really proud of you. I heard that a lot, and that was really nice. It was really, really nice and confirming and validating. So I left my job, and like I said, I cried a lot, but it was because I was, like, grieving that part of my life. Like, I was grieving the fact that, like, I did have that full-time job, I did have that permanency. And if you work full-time and you have this online business, you do know it's kind of like living two separate lives. And now that I'm fully integrating into your coach Jill, like, now that I am fully that person and moving into that, it's a very different dynamic, and it's a very different view of my life. And what is going to be the rest of my life. You know, like, when I got into the organization that I left, when I got in there, it was a very different view for my life. I was going to work for 30 plus years, and I was going to have a pension and a retirement plan, and that was just, like, never something that I wanted to do. And I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. There are a lot of people who really want that stability and really want that, but for me, I would be depressed thinking about the fact that I was stuck behind a desk for the rest of my life. So it just wasn't what I wanted for myself, and even though I wasn't entirely sure what this coaching business was going to look like, I just went in and I did what I needed to do, and I made the investments and I coached my brain, and it was the best decision ever because now we're here. So I know that you guys really wanted me to talk about being a full-time worker and doing my online business. So the first thing I will say is you really need to focus on your money-making activities. So what I mean by that is literally create offers, market those offers, and sell. Literally. And work with your clients, hone in on your craft. I wish I didn't get so caught up in what everybody else was doing, because I was looking at other people who were running full-time businesses, and I was like thinking, I'm not doing enough. I thought I needed a website. I thought I needed to build my email list and create all these freebies and all these courses and stuff like that. And even though I don't regret any of the decisions that I made because they all taught me something, I do regret spending a lot of extra time on things that weren't actually making me money. So really focus on those money-making tasks, create your offers and sell those offers, and really work on working like in your business in terms of working with clients and really honing in on your craft. And really limit the amount of work that you have to do. If you're like me and you have to work like 8 to 9 hours a day, I really would think, okay, I'm going to cram all this stuff into a day, and then I would feel frustrated with myself when I didn't accomplish all those things. But when it comes to your week, look at your week and look at the things that you have to do that are those money-making activities, and plan like 1 to 3 tasks for your business a day. And like I say that 1 to 3, at the very most 3, because if you have a task of create all content for the next 3 weeks, that's a big task, right? So really chunk down your tasks and be realistic with your time, and schedule things out. If you are a more flowy person, that's fine, but there needs to be a little bit of finagling with your schedule because you are occupied a lot of the time with your full-time job, right? So really important to have a schedule, and schedule out, at the very least, schedule out those tasks for yourself so you can stay on track. This doesn't always work for everybody, but I personally did all my content in advance, and I still do that now. But get into the energy, ground yourself, get really excited, and then write your 3 posts a week or however many you're doing, and schedule out your content. Because I know for me, when I was working in the office and I would pull up Instagram at 12 o'clock or whatever, and my social media manager had uploaded my post, or you can just save it into your drafts and set an alarm for yourself and upload it at the time that you want to. Just having that done felt really good in terms of having all that stuff done. So really try and schedule out your stuff, and really be committed to this. Like my coach DL said this on her podcast. She said, if you're looking for quick money, join Uber Eats or drive for Skip the Dishes or something like that. And I actually really laughed when I heard her say that, because it's so funny that I hear people say, I need to make money now. And coming from that desperate energy, if I would have led with that in the beginning of my business, I would not be here talking to you right now, because I was just committed to my business working. And even though I was frustrated at the time, I still was really committed, and I didn't take anything as this isn't working for me. I just kept doing the content, kept uploading stories, kept talking to my audience, kept perfecting my craft, kept coaching, kept uploading podcast episodes. I just kept up the charade because I believed that it was all going to work one day, and it was all gonna work one day soon, and that I was going to make money. I actually worked my business for like a year and a bit before I actually made any money at it, and the consistent income didn't come until 2 years into my business. So I really learned a lot about how to create that consistent income, and that is what's inside the Worthy Woman Method. But I also know that it's a mindset, that it's the consistency, that it's the commitment to the fact that I wasn't just running this business just to have some little bit of extra income and then working my full-time job. Like, I was committed to this. I was committed to making the money and committed to seeing it through. And sometimes that lack of commitment also looks like a lack of responsibility. So that's a very employee type of thinking, in terms of, I have a supervisor that is going to tell me what to do. So sometimes you'll hire a coach, or somebody will hire a coach, and they will not be able to make decisions on their own because they can't take the responsibility for those decisions. But when you own your own business, you are the decision maker, you are the CEO, and that means taking responsibilities for your successes and taking responsibility for your failures as well. So you're always learning, you're always growing. But if you work full time and you have your online business, you need to make sure that you're committed, that you don't have one foot out the door the whole time thinking, well, if this launch doesn't go well, or if this piece of content doesn't convert or something like that, then I'm going to quit, or this isn't working for me. So you need to really be committed. I also wrote, with regards to in terms of commitment, know and prepare for the fact that you will be tired, that you are gonna have weeks where you're not fully in the vibe, where you are gonna have times where you're like, fuck, I really wish I didn't have to work full time. Plan and prepare for these moments, and know that they don't mean anything about you and your success. There was many a times that I was exhausted, or I didn't want to show up on stories, or I didn't want to jump on the client calls after work or whatever, but my commitment to my mission, and that's also something I have here, is to really bring yourself back to your purpose, to your goals every single day. This is something that we really cultivate in the Worthy Woman Method, where we have really set rituals, which are in the morning, in the evening, after somebody pays you, whatever. rituals to keep you going, to keep you on top of your goals, to make sure that you're attaching yourself to your purpose every single day. Because especially if you work full time, you need to remember that like you're doing this for a reason, right? You're doing this for a reason. You're doing this for your family. You're doing this for yourself. You're doing this for the freedom that you want to feel when you finally walk out of those doors from your full-time job. That's what you're doing this for, right? So stay committed, be committed, first of all, and also bring yourself back to your purpose every single day, and plan for the fact that you are going to have times where you don't feel great. How are you going to move out of that? How are you going to push yourself forward? How are you going to stay consistent? How are you going to avoid going down a shame spiral and then not showing up for like a month? And I don't mean don't feel your feelings. You absolutely should feel your feelings, but also address the beliefs and thoughts and emotions that come up around doing this business, and that's what you need to work on. I know that in the beginning it's really easy to think it's all strategy, but if you do not have a consistent mind, if you don't undo all those beliefs and thoughts from your employee brain and those beliefs and thoughts that tell you you're not good enough and that you can't do this, if you don't work on those, you are going to go into the hole and you are going to think, I'm not going to be able to accomplish this, and you will go dark. And I think that's something that you really need to know, is that it's not just about uploading posts. It's like the energy behind the posts and how you show up even when you're tired from your full-time job. Energy is everything. Your mindset is everything. Your consistency is everything. That's what is going to get you to where you need to be. And you can't have all of that if you don't have a solid mindset. Also, don't compare yourself to someone who is doing this full time. It is really easy to look at what everybody else is doing and see them show up live and do all these reels and do podcasting and do emails and do all this stuff. Focus on a key platform. So I would say 1 to 2, and focus your energy on that. And don't get caught up. Like, who even goes on fucking Clubhouse anymore? Because I definitely don't. Like, I started using TikTok a little bit for business, but then I was like, I'm not going to. Honestly, I stick to Instagram, and I have an email list too, and I have the podcast. But the email list was really something that came later, but I have always had Instagram and the podcast. I focused on those 2 things when I was really starting to scale and grow, because it was just too much to think about all the other platforms. And then if you burn yourself out, you're not creating content anyways when you are exhausted, right? And yeah, like, don't compare yourself to the fact that people are doing this full time. Again, it's really easy to see the highlight reel. It's really easy to see somebody do all the things and have all the graphics and all that stuff, but they probably have a team. They probably are doing this full time. Like, you truly never know, so don't get caught up in that comparison trap. Be like realistic with yourself. I remember doing a market research call with somebody like 2 or 3 years ago, and this person was a blogger, and she said that she was trying to write 3 to 4 posts a week, and they were like long form posts. And she said, well, that's because what the other bloggers do. And I said, are they full time? And she said, yes. And I said, and you're not? And she said, no, I'm just a part-time blogger because I have a full-time job on the side. Set your expectations that are realistic for yourself instead of beating yourself up about it. Another thing you can do is really appreciate your full-time job, show gratitude for it. Up until before I left my job, or when I decided to leave, I was saying every morning, I am so grateful that I am able to work from home for my full-time job so I can devote time to my business. And that was the reality. Like, I was grateful to my full-time job. And even when I was tired, even when I was pissed off with other people that I worked with or whatever, I was always grateful that I had this angel investor in my business. So really try and do your best to appreciate your full-time job. I know it can be hard, especially if you're like doing something really, really grueling, but just remember that like there is a higher purpose for you in working this job, and that it's not going to be forever. And really like check your excuses. Whenever I would talk to somebody who did work full-time as well as the same as me, and they'd be like, Jill, like, how do you do it? And I'd be like, honestly, I wish I had a more strategic answer for you, but I don't. I just committed to this business. I committed to this, and even when I'm fucking exhausted and even when I don't want to do things, I plan out my stuff. I leave room for self-care. I have my mindset practices. I do the work to stay committed and stay consistent so my future self can benefit. And that's not always easy. I have limiting beliefs that came up for me, and I've been stressed about money in the past with regards to working full-time and what's that going to look like when I didn't work full-time anymore. Like, I experienced all the same things as you are probably thinking and feeling, and if you need to chat, you can send me a DM on Instagram at yourcoachjill. But I honestly don't have a perfect answer for you, because I just was really committed to my mission and really committed to having this freedom-filled life for myself, and I was going to make that happen no matter what. Of course, there were times where I was tired, or I didn't want to show up, or I didn't want to jump on the client call, and at those times I would be thinking like, fuck, how much longer can I do this? But I always pushed through. I took care of myself, and I really saw it through, and I stayed consistent. If it feels impossible, dig into your beliefs around why. So I know that when I was working full-time and running my business, I would think to myself like, oh, am I really going to be doing this forever? Like, am I really going to be doing this for as long as I think I'm going to be doing it? And I decided to start investigating as to why I couldn't be a full-time coach. Like, what about me do I think is the reason why I can't be a full-time coach? And it was a lot of worthiness. It was a lot of limiting beliefs around my speech impediment. It was a lot of things like, I'm just not that type of person. I just don't come from that type of family. Everybody would be disappointed in me. So there were a lot of limiting beliefs and things that I had just decided were reasons as to why I couldn't be doing this full time. And when I decided to actually dig deep into those things and really disprove them is when it became more of a reality, because as you disprove your limiting beliefs and start to adopt new beliefs that suit that life that you want, that business that you want, you really start believing this can work for me. If you would have told me like, you're going to be full-time in your business one day, even 6 months ago, I would have been like, no way. Like, how does somebody even do that? I remember in the very beginning and seeing people who were coaching and just doing coaching, like that was their full-time job. I would literally look at them and be like, how? Like, how are they able to do that and live their lives and travel? Like, how does it work? This online world is so new still, and I really had a lot of skepticism about it. And it's amazing now to think about all the possibilities that are around me and the things that are now possible for me. And just know that the more that you do the mindset work, the more you work on yourself and focus on disproving those limiting beliefs and stepping into that next level version of you through coaching, through really coaching your brain into becoming a full-time entrepreneur instead of nurturing that employee part of you. The more you do that, the more it becomes a reality, I promise. So really, again, if it feels impossible, dig into your beliefs around why this life seems impossible for you. And those are my tips. I know that they're a lot more mindset driven, but in terms of like the scheduling out your tasks, doing stuff in advance, and really being like committed to your purpose, that's honestly the stuff that kept me going in terms of having a schedule, keeping track of all the things I was doing. So being organized in that way, and also continuously stepping into that next level version of me over and over again. Like, what would she be doing? What would she be thinking? What beliefs would she be working on? How would she be investing in her business and herself? Continuously doing that, staying the course, and being really committed to the fact that this is the life that I want and this is how I want to live it. Now, as a side note, you may be a full-time worker and wanting to do this business on the side. And I know that there are a lot of other podcasts for you specifically. So if you need help like actually working full-time and doing this business on the side, and that's your intention, that is definitely possible as well. So you can look that up. I think there's one where it's called like the Side Hustlers podcast or something like that. I don't know, but know that that's possible for you too, and that you can build your business. I did. I scaled to 200K in my business while working full time, so you can definitely do that as well. It's just going to look different than somebody who works full time. So just know whatever course you want to take when it comes to your business, it is the right thing because you want it, because you desire it, and it is possible for you. And you can find so many examples of people who do their business full time, of people who work full time and do their business on the side who are successful. You can find all the evidence in the world when you're looking for it. So I hope you guys love this episode. It was a little bit longer than the other ones usually are, but it's really exciting that I left my full-time job. And I'm just so grateful to this community for seeing me through and being here throughout the highs and the lows of working full-time and running my business. And shit's gonna get real over here at JP Coaching, and I'm so excited to have you along for the ride. Again, if you are hoping to create consistent income months in your business and you are a woman entrepreneur, you can go to the link in my show notes and sign up for the waitlist for the Worthy Woman Method. It is a lifetime access group coaching container where I teach you how to create inner freedom, time freedom, and money freedom in your business. So, link in show notes to join the waitlist for that. Enrollment opens back up in the fall. I love you guys, and let me know if you have any questions about this episode over on Instagram at YourCoachJill. Talk to you later. Thanks so much for listening to the From Imposter to Empowered podcast. Check out the show notes to get started on your free 3-day challenge to overcome your inner imposter. Once you're done listening today, screenshot this episode and share it to your Instagram story, tagging me at YourCoachJill so I can share it on my page. See you next time.